Hey, what's up guys, Nick here, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be slightly different from the norm here on the channel, simply because there's been something that's come up in the Halo community that I really wanted to make this video on, because I think it's really important to talk about Halo Infinite leaks and why they are very dangerous to not only the community and its hype, but also maybe sometimes an employee that gets caught up in all this whirlwind of Halo Infinite excitement. So I'm going to take it back a little bit. If you don't know what happened, I'll give you a little bit of context. An ex-employee of 343 called Eric Lynn basically made a video talking about his experiences working on AAA game development. Now this is a very interesting video, but he actually recorded this video in Mandarin, so someone had to translate this video to basically understand what he was saying in English. So of course, people are always going to look at something that an ex-343 employee is going to say and see if there's anything juicy in there that they can take out to make a fun or negative journalist headline out of. And of course, this is what happened. So in the video, Eric basically talks about his experience at 343, and everything about this was taken completely out of context in the worst way possible. So Eric actually made a response video earlier today, basically talking about how he has been terrified the last couple of days and how he fears that all of this journalist headlines and all these videos that people have made about what he said in his original video being taken out of context is going to harm future employment for him in the AAA game development world, because realistically, what company would want to hire someone who makes a video talking about their experience working at the studio? And if it's taken in a negative way or taken out of context, this will always just look bad on the employee, which is a massive shame. So I'm going to go through what was taken out of context from Eric's original video and basically explain what he said in his response video instead of making all of you watch the video. If you want to, it will be linked in the description down below. I highly recommend watching it just to get Eric's full view on things, because I think that's very important. But a very well-known game journalist called Jason Schreier, I believe that's how you say his name, basically the other day posted a bullet point tweet showing all of the out of context things that Eric said in his original video, which was translated from Mandarin. I just want to add a side note here that I think it's really bad that this Jason guy on Twitter shared all these points, because he is a very well-respected game journalist. People take his word very seriously. For someone like him to spread misinformation like this is just really bad. It's very dangerous. He obviously didn't have a solid source or do enough research before he made this tweet, because a lot of people saw this and it's just going to leave a very negative sense in people's minds about this game and also this employee. So it starts off, his overall feeling on Halo Infinite: in fact, I think the finished product will still be great. The story is a big improvement and the gameplay is much richer, though the development cycle is too long. Don't expect it to be an epoch-making masterpiece. So this one isn't actually too bad. He just says the game is going to be great, but don't expect a masterpiece. In his response video, he clarifies this by saying he thinks the game is going to be fantastic, but don't set your mindset to be this is going to be the best game of all time, because he thinks that people overhype things, which is very true. I'm trying my best to keep my expectations at a very normal level for this game. I'm not expecting the perfect Halo game, because realistically nobody will ever be able to make the perfect Halo game no matter how long they spend on it. So he wants people to know this game will still be fantastic, but just don't expect something unrealistic, which is a very smart and wise thing to do. The second point, the company executives were overly ambitious. They wanted to make Halo Infinite a semi-open world game, so the engine needed to be changed significantly. They had to make the game and develop the engine at the same time. Due to engine defects, many workflows were not ideal, though they are now much more improved than before. So in Eric's response video to this, he basically clarifies that it's very normal for game engines to not be perfect and for them to have a lot of bugs that are constantly being updated. He actually makes a great comparison to Unreal Engine 4. I feel like even if you don't know anything about game development, you've probably heard of Unreal Engine, just because that is the most well-known game development engine out there. He goes on to say that Unreal Engine 4 is still receiving updates, even though Unreal Engine 5 has been announced. So engines are always getting updated no matter what, even if they are being used mid-development, it doesn't matter. Things are always being improved, things are always being worked on. So the Halo Infinite Slipspace engine, you know, it might be new, but they are still updating it, which is a very typical thing to happen during game development. He then goes on to say that the engine is really awesome and has some really powerful graphical capabilities. So hopefully when we next see the game, we're going to see all of this in full essence. We want to see the game looking as good as it possibly can. The next point, last year's disastrous demo was because many engine features were not fully implemented at that time. I think that's a pretty normal comment to make. I don't really see this as a negative one per se, because, well, everyone can see that. If you look at Craig's face, there was absolutely no emotion there, but if we see the latest update with the latest blog post images, you can see that the Brute does actually have some emotion on his face now, so we already see that improvements have been made there. The next point, for a variety of reasons, the game content compared to the original idea has been cut, same for multiplayer. This has led to some things I've made over the years that no one will probably ever see. I'm sure as an artist, having things cut from the game is always very disappointing. Obviously, he pours a lot of his time, passion, and energy into everything that he makes, and to see that cut from the game would probably be kind of heartbreaking, because, you know, you obviously want to see stuff you made put into the final product. But in his response, he makes a really solid point, basically saying that no matter what media it is, things are going to be cut. You're never going to be able to put everything into the game, movie, TV show, whatever it is, because not everything is going to fit in the full scope. He actually makes a really solid comparison, which I'm going to play in this video because he explains it very, very well.
I remember watching a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith. That scene is about Yoda arriving Dagobah. In the DVD, the person who worked on this shot felt really sad that this got cut from the final movie. He said he actually begged George Lucas to put that in the movie, but it got cut. It's the same scene here, the content's being cut in the game. This does not mean they do it on purpose to upset the artist. This happens all the time in video game, in movies, in TV show, and so on.
So just keep in mind that if something does get cut from a game or a movie or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be bad. It just doesn't fit the scope that they are going for with that particular project. Okay, so the next point here, talking about the team at 343, especially the low-level employees, works very hard, and many of them have experienced working overtime until the early hours of the morning in the past few years. Crunch confirmed. So this is the point that he felt the worst about, basically talking about crunch at 343. He says that there isn't crunch that he knows of at the studio, and obviously all the employees work independently from home currently, so he doesn't know what other people are experiencing. But he goes on to how he personally works from home, and some people might consider that crunch, whereas to him, he just says that he gets very, very passionate about what he's doing and kind of loses track of time. For example, since everyone is working from home, he either has to help his children with online school, or he has to help his wife with something at home. So maybe it's like 9 p.m. before he can start working on something that he has to get done for 343. So this could mean that he works from 9 until early in the morning, but that's only because he kind of chose to do that. It doesn't mean crunch. It doesn't mean he's being forced to work overtime. It just means that he's so into whatever he's working on. Maybe he's making a piece of art for the game. He just loses track of time. He even says that he forgets to eat sometimes because he's so into it. If any of you are creative or you've done any creative work in the past, you'll probably know exactly what he's talking about. Sometimes you get so into whatever you're working on, you completely lose focus of whatever is going on around you. And before you know it, it's early in the morning, you haven't eaten for like 8 hours and you just don't even know where the time went. So to call this crunch, I think, is very unfair. It's just a very passionate artist working very, very hard at what they're doing. And then it ends with now he works at Certain Affinity, still doing some Halo Infinite outsourcing work, and he feels good to be out of 343's baggage. I don't think he actually mentions this at all in his response video, but he says that he actually nearly cried on his last day at 343, and he worked there for 8 years. So if you're going to work somewhere for 8 years, and if it's absolutely awful conditions, I feel like you probably would have left before that. And also, you wouldn't nearly cry if you absolutely hated the place you were working as well. So I think all these points have been absolutely torn apart by Eric's response video. I'm really happy that he made this video, and I hope things work out well for him. I hope that future employment don't look at all this stuff that's popped up with all these journalists making these articles on him, basically making him look like a dangerous or a liability, whatever you want to say, employee. But I just wanted to make this video because I thought it's really important to kind of cover why these leaks are dangerous. You know, there are real people that can be affected by this stuff, so you shouldn't believe absolutely everything that you read online. I know all of our hype for Infinite is absolutely through the roof right now, but realistically, it's only a couple weeks until we see more gameplay and hopefully some multiplayer gameplay. So literally, just hang on there. It's not too much longer. I'm going crazy, but I just gotta be patient, okay? But hopefully this video has been very insightful for some of you. Maybe some of you saw this leak that popped up and you were kind of worried about it. Well, hopefully this has kind of calmed down all those worries that you were feeling. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure you hit that sub button. I'm getting really close to 100,000 subscribers. I would really appreciate it. And also drop a like on the video if you did enjoy. If you want me to cover more stuff like this in the future as well, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I should become more of a small update kind of person when it comes to Halo stuff instead of waiting for the big updates. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.